My Weird School Fast Facts: Explorers, Presidents, and Toilets. Written by Dan Gutman. Pictures by Jim Pelot. Chapter 10: The World Wars. World War I. At the beginning of the 20th century, Europe was basically two large families. The Allies, the British Empire, France, and Russia, were in one family. The Central Powers, Germany, Austria-Hungary, Bulgaria, and Turkey, were another family. Then, on June 28, 1914, Archduke Franz Ferdinand, the heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne, was assassinated by a Serbian nationalist. Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia. Russia was allied to Serbia. Germany declared war on Russia and its ally France. Great Britain declared war on Germany. Wait a minute, what does that have to do with America? Well, the United States tried to stay out of the war, but in 1915 Germany began to attack and sink American ships in the Atlantic Ocean. President Woodrow Wilson asked Congress to declare war on Germany, and the next thing anybody knew, the whole world was at war. Arlo, maybe you can dig up some weird fast facts about World War I. Way ahead of you, Andrea. Here they are. Worms helped us win the war. No kidding. Soldiers collected glowworms in jars to help them see at night. The worms gave off enough light to read and write letters, but not so much as to attract enemy fire. Garden slugs also helped us win the war. When slugs detect poisonous mustard gas, they curl up to protect themselves. Whenever that happened, soldiers knew to put on their gas masks quickly. Pigeons helped us win the war. They were used to carry small capsules with messages, maps, photos, and even tiny cameras to the front lines and back. About 100,000 homing pigeons fought in World War I. One pigeon named Sharami saved 500 American soldiers by delivering a vital message from the soldiers who had been cut off behind enemy lines. He was shot and blinded in one eye, and he lost a leg, but army doctors saved his life and gave him a wooden leg. He was awarded a medal for bravery. Frankfurt is a city in Germany, but Americans were so angry at Germany that during the war they changed the name of Frankfurters to Liberty Sausages. Sauerkraut became Liberty Cabbage. Dachshunds became Liberty Dogs, and the Statue of Liberty became, well, she just stayed the way she always was. If it hadn't been for World War I, we may have never had plastic surgery. So many soldiers came home from that war with their faces messed up from combat that a doctor named Harold Gillies developed techniques to repair their injuries. He became known as the father of modern plastic surgery. The youngest soldier in the war was a 12-year-old British boy named Sidney Lewis. He lied about his age and joined the army. Sidney was one of 250,000 boys who fought in the war. On Christmas Day, 1914, both sides agreed to a ceasefire near Ypres, Belgium. During the truce, some German and British troops played a game of soccer against each other in the middle of the two armies, the area called No Man's Land. When the game was over, everybody went back to shooting at each other again. Germany won the game, but lost the war. Finally, World War I. ended in 1918 at the 11th hour on the 11th day of the 11th month. Weird. World War II. Just about 20 years after World War I ended, the world exploded into another war, even more bloody than the last one. This time, the cause was primarily one madman, Adolf Hitler, who became the leader of Germany in 1933 and decided that Germany should rule the world. Japan and Italy joined him in 1940. England fought back, and after the United States was attacked at Pearl Harbor in Hawaii, America joined the British and entered the war. It lasted until 1945, when we dropped atomic bombs on Japan. I'm sure Arlo has some weird fast facts about World War II that he'd like to share. I sure do. Here's the best one. Adolf Hitler's nephew, William Hitler, served in the U.S. Navy during the war. That's not a joke. He was even wounded in battle and won the Purple Heart. You can look it up if you don't believe me. Can you imagine going through life in America with the name Hitler? I guess that's why William changed his name to William Stewart Houston after the war was over. He became a businessman in New York and died in 1987. On December 7th, 1941, the day America was attacked at Pearl Harbor, the Secret Service realized they didn't have a car with bulletproof windows to protect President Franklin D. Roosevelt. Legend has it, a Secret Service agent remembered that the notorious gangster Al Capone had a bulletproof car, and it had been confiscated when he was arrested in 1931. The car still worked, so the president rode in Al Capone's car on his way to make his famous Pearl Harbor speech. An hour later, Congress declared war on Japan. Okay, are you ready for this? During World War II, British soldiers were only given 3 sheets of toilet paper a day. 3 sheets. That's it. American soldiers got 22 sheets. Arlo, I thought you were going to wait until chapter 13 to talk about toilet stuff. I couldn't resist. Nobody is sure who really invented the hamburger, but some historians say it was named after the city of Hamburg, Germany. During the war, some Americans ate Liberty steaks instead of hamburgers. I wonder if they changed the name of German shepherds to Liberty dogs. They didn't. In fact, a German shepherd mix named Chips was a hero dog during World War II. When Italian soldiers started shooting at him and his human handler, Chips attacked them, biting and barking until they surrendered. Chips was wounded, and he was awarded a Silver Star and a Purple Heart. Even though radio technology had improved since the last World War, the United States Army still used pigeons in World War II. A special cage and parachute were developed to draw pigeons from airplanes to isolate troops. Thousands of pigeons were dropped over France, and French people used them to send back information about German troop movements. When U.S. troops stormed the beaches of Normandy, France on June 6, 1944, D-Day, the mission was so secret that the Allies communicated only through pigeons. One bird named Gustav flew more than 150 miles from Normandy to England to deliver the news. But the most famous pigeon of the war was G.I. Joe. On October 18, 1943, the plan was to bomb the German-occupied town of Calvi Vecchia in Italy. But then the Germans retreated from the town, and British troops moved in just before the bombing was about to begin. The British couldn't cancel the attack by radio. With time running out, G.I. Joe was sent with a message to cancel the bombing. He flew 20 miles in 20 minutes and arrived just as bombers were about to take off. He saved about 1,000 lives. It must have been easy to spot airplanes sitting on the ground and to bomb them, right? That's why the Army decided to disguise the Lockheed Burbank aircraft plant in California. They hired artists from nearby film studios, such as Disney, to make the plant look like an ordinary California suburb from above. Airfields were painted green and lined with plants to make them look like alfalfa fields. The main factory was covered with a painted canvas to blend in with the surrounding grass. Finally, fake trees were put up with spray-painted chicken feathers for leaves. Do you know how some captured soldiers escaped from German prison camps? They used the game Monopoly. It's true. The Red Cross sent packages to prisoners, and one of the things that could be included were board games. So special Monopoly boxes were made that contained items to help the prisoners escape. Real money was hidden within the Monopoly money. A metal file was hidden within the board. A small compass was hidden in a playpiece. Maps of the prison and its location were hidden inside the hotel pieces. That is cool. Native Americans haven't been treated very well in America, but they have fought bravely for it. Thousands of them joined the military to fight in World War I, even though Native Americans were not all granted citizenship until 6 years after the war was over. And during World War II, a group of Navajo devised a code using their native language that made it possible to send and receive secret messages. They were called code talkers. The Japanese were never able to break their code. When the war ended, some Japanese soldiers were hiding in the jungles of the Philippines. They didn't know the war was over. One of them, Hiro Onoda, didn't surrender or leave his post until 1974. That was almost 30 years after the war was over. Russia and Japan have never signed an official peace treaty with each other to end World War II. Both countries are still disputing who owns the Kuril Islands. Let's hope they don't start a war over it. I don't want to see a World War III.